Yep.
Chats open.
Okay. So I think we're live now. We're live now with BK Sabers. And for y'all, this is Mundo Madness Monday. Let's get the party started. And here we go with El
In
Mundos.
here, we pour whiskey.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right. BK in the house, people. All right. So tonight we got one of the major font makers in the house. I am so happy for you to come on, man. I do appreciate you coming on with me tonight.
Oh, for sure, man. Thanks for having me. This is gonna be a good time. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a blast. I mean, I can't reiterate, uh, R2 man. What? Yes. Wow. Yeah, he makes the sounds like you're making now. Of course. Oh, you want some sound fonts from him? All right. Well, we'll see what we can do. Oh God, you just excited him, dude. Oh my God, he's so excited. Okay, so for all you people out there watching, will be watching. Thank you all for showing. Cinzy, what up, man? Rudy, hey, buddy. Titan, TK. My God, you guys are in the house tonight. Thank you guys for stopping by. Man, we're gonna
Titan,
have so much fun tonight.
Titan's in every stream I watch. He's always in there.
He's all over the place. Collectors Outpost, how you doing, man? Thank you for stopping by. Jim, what up, Jim? Oh man, we got everybody in the house tonight, man. All right. So we are definitely going to be having a lot of fun tonight. So one of my first questions for you, buddy,
Yeah, what's up?
is what got you into making sound fonts?
Well, it started back like me personally. I've always been a musician. Like music was my
Hmm.
background. Like I'm in my mid 40s now, and I've been playing. I was a guitar player since I was like 15 years old, and I've been in
Hmm.
bands. Like right now, I'm in Los Angeles, so I've been in bands. Did a lot of touring, like on the Sunset Strip, and been in and out of recording studios and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
just over time, the older I got, the more I got into lightsabers. And truth be told, my first lightsaber was an Ultra Sabers. Not proud to admit it, but
I think we've all been there.
yeah, I got suckered into it. I got suckered into it. But then the funny thing is like when I got that first saber, I wanted a good Qui-Gon Jinn sound font. So of course I went on Saber font. And this is
Hmm.
way back in the day. And I think Juan Sith had just started making fonts at this time. This was years and years ago. And I got myself a Juan Sith Qui-Gon font.
Hmm.
Loved it, but I wanted to tweak it somehow. And I knew, I had a musical background. I've got a lot of audio engineering experience. So I was like, let me just make a few tweaks here and there. And I kind of made that font into how I wanted to hear it, how I liked it. And then from there, it just kind of evolved into there. The more and more sound fonts that I purchased from all these other sound font makers, I'm thinking, all right, well, if they're doing this, I could probably, dip my toes in the water and see what I can come up with. And, it just kind
Hmm.
of snowballed into that. That's it.
That is awesome, man. I mean, coming from that musical background, that's pretty rad, dude. I mean, I don't I don't know if there's a whole lot of musicians out there that actually turn to font making, but you have all these different backgrounds of people that actually dip their toes and actually, go forward with making their own sound fonts and stuff like
Oh,
that.
there is a
And do you?
few. There's a few. I
Mhm.
think Jesse at Kyberphonic, he's a musician. I know Keenan at K-Sith, he's a guitar player
Uh-huh.
as well. So I think
Mhm.
for like a sound font maker, you need to have the music blood in you, kind of
Mhm.
to help guide you along the way.
Right. And that's pretty interesting too, because I mean, dealing with all the programs and the machinery that you need to make these different changes. within the hums, within, the different, um, all the different sounds that go into making a sound font, right? So you
Oh
got,
yeah.
you got
It,
your hums, and then you got your, your swings, your slashes, and all of that stuff. And on top, Marina, how you doing? Jim, no worries, man. You stay as long as you can, man. And if you gotta go, you gotta go. No worries, bro. No worries. So yeah, dude, it just having just even just a slight amount, like for me, I mean, I am kind of technically challenged, technologically, really. I'm a slow learner, but I will get it if I, take long enough to get it, right?
yeah.
But so eventually, like my deal eventually is to get into, do the chassis. That will be my next upgrade to learning what I'm doing
Oh,
right
I
now.
won't get
But
into chassis. I trust me. Like I won't ever dip my toes into building a Saber. I'd rather pay somebody to do my installs because I just don't have the patience for it. And I tried to solder a couple of things. Like at most, I can maybe swap a speaker and resolder like new speakers and swap them out. But even then, I
uh-huh.
look at my quality. I'm like, man, my soldering sucks. It's like,
And I'm getting better as I go. Like
yeah.
I had that memory saber done right, and for whatever reason, I'm not sure what happened to it, but I think I've dwindled down to, I think it's the pins that are more or less messing up everything. And so I ordered new speakers as well for it because I wanted to get louder. And so I'm gonna order a couple of speakers from Smuggler's Outpost and get a couple of those,
Yes, Albert's got
right?
the speakers. Like I've been going through Albert for my speakers for years now, and I think it was like 2 years ago. I did like a speaker shootout where I literally took a 28 millimeter and a 24 Smuggler speaker, and I grabbed some Vecos, I grabbed some from Saber Bay, I grabbed them from TS, the custom Saber shop, and I just got them all lined up, and I took the same hilt and I soldered a speaker in. I recorded with it. I unsoldered it, put a new speaker in,
Hmm.
recorded with it. And I was like listening to all the differences. Hands down, Albert's speakers were the best. I mean, they had the most, like, they had this nice clarity and this nice presence to them.
Hmm.
Some of the other brands were just a little bit too, I mean, yes, they had some nice bass to it, but it almost came across as dull sounding. Like to
Hmm.
me, Albert speakers were just a perfect like an equilibrium, like the spectrum frequencies was just all there, is perfect. You cannot go wrong with Albert speakers.
Right. So I'm gonna, like, pretty soon in the next week or so, I'm gonna order two of his speakers to put it, one in the memory saber,
Yeah.
and like I said, I ordered some speakers from Amazon, and those are gonna go in a different, in a different saber. But I was actually thinking of using one of those for the Evo Flex. But of course, Albert also has a chassis for the Evo Flex too. And because my Evo Flex just crapped out on me, like I'm all like, I hadn't even used it much, and it's already crapped out.
Oh,
Titan
geez.
says Titan says I will be ordering a solder and iron kit so I can change speakers instead of having three lightsabers that need speaker changed. Yeah, man.
It's so
Right.
funny.
I mean,
I
and it's
actually
so
have
much
a
fun
little
though.
lockbox down here that's just full of speakers. I've got like 20 replacement speakers in a lockbox. Just I'm constantly changing out speakers. Titan, change out them
it's
speakers, buddy.
it's a labor of love for
It
a
is.
musician, right?
Yeah. It's gotta have that sound. For me, my sabers, they gotta have that sound.
Yes, it's a matter of fact. Oh, the Evo Flex Electrum. I need to gut mine. Yes, right. I mean, come on. I love. Don't get me wrong. Electrum Sabers. They've got some really good, customer service, but I have to admit that, the boards on there, it just, I don't know. There's just something wrong with the board or something like that. The hilt itself is just pure beauty, man. Right? And I've got mine up right here, but I can't. This thing won't even charge anymore. It won't even charge anymore. It's crazy. But the hilt itself, I mean, is just, awesomely gorgeous, and I love it. But like I said, I gotta gut it out and just put something else in it, because otherwise, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
I
it's gonna
actually
be a shelf. It's
I
too
stopped
pretty to
buying
be a
Sabers.
shotgun.
Like, I won't buy a pre-installed Saber anymore. Like, I've learned my lesson. Like, I did a few Saber Forge where they installed it. You buy it pre-installed. No way, never again. So for the
Yeah,
most part now, when I buy Saber, I just buy empties and I send them out to installers to custom chassis it up and do it for me.
yeah. And I can never say this enough, but for those people who don't know, who are starting to get into the hobby and everything like that, if you want to do your homework and check out all these different companies, lightsaber companies, before you actually buy. But one of the best resources is to go to Lando's channel, right?
Whatever happened to Lando?
Lando's
He
um
used to pump out
he's
content all the time, and then he just fell off the map.
Well, I'm sure there's some, things going on in his life that he's got to
Yeah,
take care of, and maybe he's even doing more research right now, and all of the research is taking up more of his time, and
yeah,
then he'll probably come back later on. It's like all of us, we have busy, our day jobs and everything else on top of, and this is just the second half of stuff that we do. And but like I said, Lando, he hasn't taken down his videos, which I'm very thankful for because he did some really great research on which companies to go to, which not to go to, what they're all about, what they do, why you shouldn't go to them, who you should go to,
yeah,
and the reasoning behind this. So, all of that research, I mean, and that he did provided a lot of great information for those of you that are just starting out. So if you guys are watching us tonight, make sure that you go by, Lando's channel and check out all of his resources on what he gives because man, I tell you, speaking
yeah.
since he says speaking of day jobs, I have to leave mine now. I'll keep you in the car as usual. All right, Cincy, be careful going home, man. Mikey, what up, Mikey? Hermano, it took 15 years off with a haircut. Yeah, I mean, I tell you, I was already looking like Chewbacca coming up pretty soon, man. So, you know, I can't even yell like him, but hey, it is what it is. Yeah, I shave even more, man. I look like babyface. So, yeah. TK says it would take good eyes to know how to soldier and it would come back to life, bro. Don't give up, homie. Nah, man. I that's one thing I do not do is I do not give up. Um, I do not give up on anything because even if it takes me a million years to get it, I'm gonna get it. I am stubborn like that, and I am more stubborn than my guys. And my guys are bipolar and everything else. So I can I can get them to listen to me. I can do almost anything.
Oh, speaking of finally getting it, I see Gabe finally got his profi working on his Saber.
Absolutely, man. It turned out great.
Yeah, it was like what 2 or 3 weeks of live streaming, and then he finally got it.
Yeah, yeah. But and then some, man. I mean, in between, not being on camera and stuff too.
Yeah,
So even Dave had to, help out quite a bit, man. And um, speaking of Dave, man, he's just, oh my gosh, you see the new video he came out with?
no, what was it?
Oh man, that new saber and that he did. I think it was one the new like a Luke LS saber that he did. Ah man, you gotta check him out, man. Check
I'm
that
gonna have
new.
to check it. There's
Yeah,
so
you're
many
gonna have to check
there's so
it.
many content creators out there in the Saber community. It's freaking amazing. Like Collector's Outpost. He's here watching the video. He makes a good channel as well.
I
High
know, I love
quality,
his channel.
high
Yeah.
quality vids.
And it's funny because like one of the shows that I did, I actually had him and Anthony out on the TV behind me, up there, and Anthony goes, he chimed in and he goes, "What? I'm on TV?" I was like, "Yes, dude, I had you up there." So that's too funny, man. Um, so let's go back to the Saber fonts though, and I was reading on some of your stuff on your website and everything. And I love the fact that you tell people, hey, even though that they are retailers of lightsabers, just because they're retailers doesn't mean that you can automatically put these fonts on, without purchasing them,
Yeah.
because the piracy and everything is like out of this world right now.
Yeah,
And
it's one of those disclaimers that I like to keep up. It's like, all my Saber sound fonts were meant to just be purchased by individuals. Like I don't want, like LGT or TQX buying a font and then just loading it all on their, distribution boards without, at least without authorization, which I would never authorize them to do that. But I
right.
agree. I mean, piracy, it's there. I mean, there's nothing we can really do about it. We just got to, pray that there's good human beings that don't sit there and share it with everybody in the world and things like that. So I try to keep a disclaimer on my site that basically says, what, just be a good human being. This
Yeah.
purchase was meant for you, not for everyone else.
Right, the honor system, you know.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna be a retailer and you're gonna have these fonts put on something like that, you know what? Email the font maker and say, hey, listen, I would like this person wants, this particular font. He is going to purchase it. Am I able to put it on his saber and then give it to him? You know,
Yeah.
be that type of person to include everybody into it. Don't just, you know, or say, hey, look, you purchase the font, you send me the font, I'll install it in your saber, and then when your saber is ready, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
And of course, make sure that that the font maker gets that recognition for what they've done, and gets paid for what they work have the work that they've already done,
Well, I
right?
think the big issue is like a lot of these sound font makers don't get paid for it, especially like if it's a big distribution, like if you're like LGT, TQX, or just somebody big in general that has a board coming pre-installed with these fonts. Unless you
Mhm.
have some sort of like royalties deal, like you get a percentage of cut per saber sold, maybe, which is very, very unlikely. Which is why it's like I would never do a distribution deal with some of these people. But I think it
Mhm.
was, I want to say 3 years ago, I was speaking to, I think it was Keenan at KSIT at the time. I was just chatting with him through like Facebook or something. And
Mhm.
I had mentioned to him, I was like, dude, you got a bunch of fonts on these LGTs. He's like, yeah, man. He's like, if I would have known it was going to blow up this big, I would have, worked out a better deal with him. So I don't know if he got a raw deal or if it wasn't a great deal, but he kind of, at
Mhm.
the time, it sounded like he regretted doing it.
Yeah, and rightly so, though. I mean, because you guys. Let me ask you this: how long does it normally take for you from start to finish for a font,
I'd
depending
say
if you're doing from scratch?
from scratch, because I always do it like I take breaks. So like I can't just sit down like 8 hours a day for days
Mhm.
throughout, because everyone's got a day job. So if I were to calculate the hours involved, it's roughly about minimum like a one business week, like 40
Mhm.
hours would take me to complete a font. And that's
Mhm.
relatively quick, I think. I've gone longer, sometimes 2 weeks. I mean, depending on how nitpicky I get with the font before I release it. Because that's the thing with any creative person, like you are your own worst critic. So I will sit
Mhm.
there and nitpick it over and over and be like, no, I got to tweak it again. No, it's not right. I want to keep tweaking it. And then sometimes you over tweak it and then you got to
Yeah.
backtrack and do it again. It's like, but I'd say minimum, it takes me about a solid working week to just do one font.
To do one font, one
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Okay. So, see, audience, I mean, tell you this gives you relatively how long it takes for just one of those fonts. Even though you see millions and hundreds of fonts out there like that, that it shows you how hard these guys are working to do these fonts to bring us that entertainment into our sabers.
Yeah.
So, be true blue, man. Pay these guys what they want, and give them what they should be earning. Because
Yeah.
if it takes that long just for one sound font, yeah, do them right, man. Do them right.
I
Yeah,
think
don't.
like the hardest part or the biggest misconception about sound font making, like a lot of people that just don't understand, they just assume We rip sounds off the movies and just load them on a Saber and we sell it, which to some case, there probably are sound font makers that do it. But the biggest probably hurdle to get over for a good sound font is you have to realize you're building sounds that's going to be heard through these tiny little 24, 28 millimeter speakers. So there's so many things you have to tweak to the sound to make sure it's going to, one, not blow the speaker out. It's got amp, you got to have the right amount of volume, but not too much of this, not too much of that, where if somebody accidentally
Hmm.
turns it up too loud, it just blows it out. So it's like there's so many things you have to tweak to a sound font to get it to sound good on these little dinky ass speakers. Because these little tiny speakers, even though if you purchase like a custom Saber Shop 28 millimeter bass speaker, those bass speakers really don't produce a lot of bass. Because if you look at the actual documentation, like the frequency spectrum graph of the speaker, what it replicates, it,
Hmm.
it doesn't kick out a lot of bass. The bass rolls off like right at the 200 hertz and just kind of slopes down from there. So these little speakers weren't meant to push out a lot of bass. So you really got
Right.
to tailor and tweak these sounds to make sure it's going to sound good on these speakers that where people are hearing it through.
Right. And it's because oh man, because like one of the speakers that I have here, this is a 3 ohm 2 watt little 28 millimeter speaker that I got
Yep.
from Amazon, right?
Yep.
And some of the sound fonts sound amazing on it, and then some of the other sound fonts you could barely hear them.
Yeah.
And then and depending on the sound font, depending on the speakers, if some of the things that I've seen, well, why is this sound font not as good? Like I said, I was reading on some of your page there, and one of them says one of the things that said on there that caught my eye was, well, why is my sound font doesn't sound as crisp or as good as yours does?
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, well, like he said, it depends on the speaker and it depends, on your hilt because not every saber is, you know, um, created equal.
Yeah.
So, the resonance chamber, the type of body that you have, the type of speaker that you have, there's a lot of factors that go right into all of these to make, a good crisp sound font come through.
Oh yeah.
And for those who are just now getting into it, and even some seasoned vets as well, I would say, but the seasoned vets know a lot more that, hey, okay, I need a little bit better resonance chamber here, or I need a little bit better speaker here, and then it'll come out, much better there. But for people like me, because I'm still, halfway newbie, right, and I'm still learning a lot of things myself, is that with the resonance chambers, and then you got, the different sound fonts from different sound makers. It depends on the quality of stuff that you get as well, because you can get some sound fonts from somewhere that are just kind of like, ew,
Yeah.
what was that? And then you got one that's just like, oh my God, where did this come from? Why
Yeah.
haven't I heard this yet? Yeah.
It's funny
So,
because like John here at the Collector's Outpost, his comment, it's like a guitar and the type of wood it's made of. That's a perfect example because like you can take a
right.
Les Paul that's made of mahogany and take a Les Paul that's made of ash, and like they're all going to sound a little bit different. So it's
Hmm.
comes to like even when I build my sound fonts, I actually tested on multiple speakers. Like I tested on a 28 Smuggler's Outpost. I tested on a crappy little 24 millimeter LGT speaker, and I even
Hmm.
have. Let me see if I got it here, like while I'm mixing in the studio and doing all the EQing, compressing of all the files, I have like this little dummy pommel with a crappy speaker
Hmm.
wired into my system so I can flip a switch and hear what it sounds like through this in real time while I'm building the font. So it helps a lot.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's
And you,
great. That is great.
you almost kind of have to because like even then you have to test it on different soundboards because like CFX versus Profi, Golden Harvest, Xenopix, all that. So you want to hear what it sounds
Right.
like on all the boards.
Uh-huh. So does it okay, for you taking a while, like you say, Do you find yourself like leading more towards one board and then going to the next, or do you finish like the font for one board first and then go to the next board?
For me,
What is your yeah, what is your kind of like timeline as far as going from board to board for your sound fonts?
John, you're right. Collector's Outpost, Chris Lord Algae, baby. He's a good mixing engineer. Them NS10s, baby. The NS10s. So usually when I build a sound font, I always do it off a Profi first. Like I'm a Profi guy. I've always had
Mm-hmm.
Profis. It's like I think I have now like maybe 15 Sabers and probably 10 of them are Profi. And the rest are just random boards because I have to test things on other boards to make sure it works. But
Right.
I always do it on Profi. And then once I'm done with the font, I'm happy with it on the Profi. I'll just rename the files, load it into my CFX, swing it around, make sure it sounds good. For the most part, it's always going to sound the same. The only
Mm-hmm.
big difference between the soundboards is maybe the smooth swing transitions might sound not sound different, but just behave differently because they have different
Right.
algorithms. But the sounds are going
Yeah.
to be the same.
Yeah. And so, okay, so that makes perfect sense though, since you're a big Profi person. So you usually start off with Profi and then go down from the other to the other boards that way, in terms of your workload. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, that's cool. That's cool, man. And hey, and John, thanks for the feedback, man. I don't even know who Chris Lord LG is, but man, I'm gonna have to look into that.
Chris Lord
So,
Alge is probably the biggest rock and pop mixing engineer of today's era. He's done like Green Day. Like Green Day is what put him on the map for the album
oh
American
really?
Idiot. He mixed that and whew, I mean
Oh wow.
he's the guy in music sound for like mixing engineering. He's one
Oh
of my
okay.
favorites.
Hey, I like Green Day, man.
I mean, he's done more
It's
than
a
Green
good
Day.
grip.
That was just the
Yeah,
first
well,
thing
I
that
know.
popped in my head. Like
Yeah.
Daughtry and like any famous
hmm
pop rock band of the 90s and 2000s, he was the guy that mixed it usually.
And I find that a lot of so many things from the 80s on up to the early 2000s was some of the best stuff made. Because a lot of that stuff was more or less original that came up regardless of film, regardless of music, regardless of anything else. There was more originality in that timeline than anything else. And now, right now, you find that there's a lot of remakes with stuff, and
Yeah.
and it's just to me when you have more or less originality come in, it's so much better than a remake of something because you can hear the heart and soul of the person that
And
makes the sound. Yeah. And
you know why
or
that is? It's
anytime.
right around the turn of the late 90s, early 2000s. That's what became kind of like the digital era. Like back then or before that, everything was analog. You had analog consoles, analog rack gear, everything was analog. And right around that time, early 2000 Pro Tools, digital era became big, and
hmm
people kind of leveraged that in a good way. Don't get me wrong; it streamlined a lot of things, but it took a lot of the originality out of the performance because
hmm
something digital mixed digitally is so much easier than on analog. Because analog, you're capturing it raw. It is what it is. It's either your performance was great or you sucked. But in the digital world, you have auto tune and things like that. You can make it better. So
Right.
back then it was like the dawn of originality, but now with the digital era, it's just makes it so easy that, like you said, you hear a lot of producers and beats that just resample the same old beats into new songs, and it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So such little originality, but I have to commend those that try their hand at originality in an age where everybody uses the same, like you say, beat or something, you know, for new content and stuff like that. And it's the originality though is, you know, there is endless resources for somebody to have an original, sound or original video or original, entertainment spot, so to speak, right? So, and every day that you see these different creators coming in, YouTube creators. Like for me right here, I'm not even in for anything of the money or anything like that. To me, this is fun. To me, this is like, here I am. I want to sit here. I want to have a beer with you in bullshit, right? That's my, yeah, man.
I'll drink
I
for
got
you. Don't worry.
I got Pepsi Zero, so I'm good, man. For right now. For right now. A couple of weeks, man. I'll be having my same old beer, vodka, and all that good stuff. So this is my thing. I want people to come and stop by. Like, you're sitting in the chair right across from me. We're having a good time. We're bullshitting. We're talking Sabers. We're talking fonts. Felicia, what up? Busy at work. Have a catch you later. Cheers. Hey, no worries, Mama. Thank you for coming by. So yeah, and that, like I said, if I make a little change out of it, that's a plus, but I'm not worried about it. That's the whole thing, because I want people to come by here, and I want it to be kind of refreshing for people to come by, because I want you to have a good time. I want you to have some laughs. I want you, and then I want people to understand that, folks such as yourself, the font makers, they have busy lives, but it's a labor of love of what you're doing, because being in a musical background, but you wanted to do this, you wanted to do that, and you wanted to do it for yourself, but then you put it out there for others. And thank you for that, by the way. Just some great fonts, that you've made. And and it makes you feel good when, when people have used your stuff, and they enjoy what you've done, myself included. And um it makes your work validated. Am I correct? That
It does.
you get great validation out of that.
It's like the one thing that warms my heart is like I'll see an order come in, somebody will buy a font, and then 2 days later, that same customer buys two more. A week later, he buys three more. And it's like, okay, this guy obviously enjoys what I do. And that's instant gratification. It's like I love the fact that people enjoy what I do because I love what I do. And I hope everyone else does and enjoys it too.
Yeah, and see, and that's the thing. And like I said, uh from my channel and Civilized Sabers, and I can't thank Anthony enough for, having me, take on Mundo Mondays myself. He gets so busy with those blades, man. On top of his regular work, and then on top of the comic book, Albatross Junction. So he's got his plate full, on top of everything else.
Yeah.
And when he let me run, Mundo Madness Mondays solo, I'm all like, "You sure you want me to do this?" But I'm doing, he says, "Yeah, I'm making him proud, so that's cool, man." But like I said, I want people to come over here on the channel, and I want everybody to have a good time. Smile, have a couple of giggles here and there, have a beer here and there if they want to. I mean, if they choose not to drink, hey, that's their thing. I don't care. Do what you got to
I had my
do.
tequila ready, man. I thought today was the day. I had the tequila ready. I was like, it's going to be the day. I hope he has it. But next time.
Hey, no, yeah, well, trust me, I have it right here. If I need
Oh,
to take, if I have to take medicine, man, it's right here.
it's on. It's on.
I might, you know what? Okay, I might have
Wait.
to cheat. I could start tomorrow, right? I can
Yeah.
start tomorrow. All right, so you want to take a shot together?
All right. Hold on. Hold on. I got to go get my bottle then. Hold on.
Okay, go get your bottle.
I need
We'll
my
take one
bottle.
together.
Well, hold on. Before I go, yes, TK, it's going to be tequila. Hold on. He has a question about facing speakers inward. It's funny. I
Oh,
I don't actually do that because I've got a pair of loudspeakers with 10-inch woofers. I got a pair of loudspeakers with 5-inch woofers. I've got my Saber speaker to test, and then I flip things into mono because at the end of the day, the outcome end result is going to be played on a mono Saber speaker. So I mix mostly in stereo to begin with, but as I get deeper and start to finalize the sounds, I'm flipping things in mono constantly to hear what it sounds like as a mono source because that's the end result. So I never really face the speakers inward for noise cancellation. I'm just always constantly testing in mono because that's the end result is the mono speaker. But let me get my tequila in a shot glass. I will be right back.
Go for it. And so while you're getting it, all right. So everybody, that's the thing. I've rarely heard about speakers getting, turned inwards, and I've heard about it. But, for me, I don't know. It's kind of weird, having two speakers, go in together and then just, I don't know, the sound itself would be I don't know if it would be even louder or if it would be canceling each other out. Oh, I like that
Have
bottle,
you
dude.
ever had this?
Would
Bring
Oh
that beer
man.
bell. It's time.
Damn.
This
Oh
is
man.
this is
10
my
minutes from now.
absolute favorite
Oh, joke.
tequila. This is Claza Azul Reposado, and it's so smooth. It's got these nice vanilla notes. Oh man, I love this shit.
Oh, I'm gonna have to get me some of that. All right,
Woo.
buddy. I got
TK,
pure
this is for
vodka.
you.
This here, TK, and everybody here. This is for y'all. Ah.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
Ha
That's the
ha.
only tequila I can shoot and not have that weird face like you cringe after drinking it. That is just smooth, smooth,
Oh,
smooth.
really? You
Yeah,
ever
it's
try? You ever tried Especial?
who makes that? Because there's a lot of brands that make especial. Is that Don Julio or who is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've had a lot of Don Julios, but I always keep going back to the Claza Azul, man.
Really? Huh?
It's like over at my girlfriend's house, we have 5 empty bottles of it sitting on a shelf because they're nice looking hand painted bottles. We don't want to throw them away because they
Yeah.
look pretty, you know. So she's been saving them. We're gonna turn them into lamps.
Send me a pic, man, and I'll go buy some next time.
All
When I
right,
get a chance.
will
Yeah,
do.
but I'm gonna purchase some more fonts from you before I go buy the bottle.
You'd be
What do you
testing
say,
out
R2?
the
Oh, so we're having a good time. See, and that's what Mundo Madness Monday is about, man. It is just a little bit of everything, but we're here to have a good time most of the time, with a little bit of information, right?
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. Now, one of the things, how much frustration is it when you're making your fonts? Like, you say you're tweaking this and you're tweaking that. But when it comes down to it, in between those tweaks, do you get like so frustrated? You're like, okay, I gotta really stop.
Yes. Yes. I think my biggest frustration, the thing like that I get hung up the most on that I find I'm constantly tweaking and like I've spent like a day or two on making smooth swing pairs.
Hmm.
And for me, because it's like to me, a good smooth swing pair is the transition from the stationary hum to the accent swing. You need a bridge that takes you from point A to C.
Hmm.
So a good smooth swing pair should have elements of the hum in there as well as the accent swing in there, but blended in a way where it sounds like it's a transition. But
Hmm.
man, it gets tough sometimes because I've made so many like smooth. I'm working on a font right now, like a Sif font, and I've trashed so many and just started over and trash it again, started over because it's like you just got to nail it just the right way because the smooth swing pair has to have just nuances of like everything all in one, but it has to sound realistic and canon, kind of like, it's got to be
Hmm.
believable. But another big hang up with smooth swing pairs is you got to make sure they loop cleanly. So a lot of
Hmm.
like if it doesn't loop cleanly, if you're just swinging the saber around, if you ever get like a sound font and you hear this weird click, it's like click, or it's like a snap or something. That's something that's not looped cleanly. It's like it's got to be a perfectly clean loop. So when that sound just continuously plays for like an hour straight, it sounds like it's just one file, but it's actually many
Hmm.
files that have to blend together to transition from swing high to swing low and all the different pairs. So I get so hung up on those. That's like that takes me the longest time for sure.
So would it be a fair assessment saying that it's kind of like an accordion, where you're compressing all these, levels, and you're pressing the buttons, so you're getting a certain sound when you're bringing the accordion in, and you have all that air compressing in, and then all that air compressing out. You're pressing the different buttons for different sounds, right? So with these with the sound fonts, you kind of have the same kind of thing. You have all these different layers of the different sounds, but they're mixing all together to make one you know sound, one complete sound altogether, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if that would be a fair assessment or not. If you ever listen to an accordion, a player play, and you see the thing going like this, and then you have all that air compressing, and then they're pressing all these different buttons to make the different sounds. So, in a way, these sound fonts are almost similar in terms of having these layers compressing and back and forth, and then mixing all together to make the one holistic sound
Yeah,
together.
exactly. It's kind of like you play that accordion, and if you're clacking the buttons and then you stop, making the movement, the sound just gets all screwed up. So it's like
Mm.
it all works harmoniously. It's
Right,
just
harmoniously, there you go.
yeah.
Titan says, are there sounds you legally can't use and turn into fonts?
Technically,
TK.
I would say, see, there's a fine line with this question because technically, all of the lightsaber sounds are, Skywalker Ranch, Lucasfilms, Disney, which is, now Disney. So technically, in a sense, by us replicating these sounds is kind of, I don't want to say it's bad on us because I mean somebody has to do it. So if you want a good lightsaber sound, you have to replicate and make it sound like the way it was in the movies, the way it was intended by Lucasfilms.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if George heard what we were doing, he'd probably put a stop to it for sure. It's kind of like if somebody took the Rihanna song and I were to make a song myself and call it something else, but it sounds exactly like Rihanna's down to a T, she would put a stop to it. So
Hmm.
there's a fine line to that where it's like you don't want to rip the song or rip the sound exactly as it was intended from Lucasfilm. You don't want to just reuse it as is because that's just stealing blatantly.
Right.
You have to alter it, make it your own, make it unique, make it a little bit different. So it's kind of like it's what's the word I want to use here without getting in trouble? It's kind of like yeah,
The
I think
legality of everything.
yeah, I'm trying to be legal about this. It's kind of like inspired by, I guess is the word. It's
Yeah.
inspired by. It's like I can make a Picasso painting in the likeness of Picasso and paints, the Scream or whatever famous painting. It's not going to be exact, but it was inspired by Picasso, and I did it myself. Used a little bit different colors instead of the typical blues and greens that he used, but it's in that vein of a Picasso, the Scream, or something like that. So I don't
Right.
think Picasso would sue me for that. He'd be upset, but it's certainly legal to do because it was inspired by, and it's now my new creation of that. But to go back to Titan's question, there are certain things that you want to avoid where there's copyrights and trademarks, like certain things, like I wouldn't blatantly use certain trademarked Star Wars names in any of my fonts. Like I wouldn't call
Right.
something that only that's trademarked because you'll get sued, obviously. But
Right.
that's
Hence,
why,
hence the words custom sabers
yeah,
instead of the light, you know, and I won't finish that word, but
yeah.
for legal reasons as well. And but we all know what we're talking about.
Yeah. But
The
it's funny that
laser.
you bring that up, though, or what Titan brings up, because it actually goes back to that same line of the question of sound font sharing, piracy. I mean,
Hmm.
technically, there is that weird gray area where sound font creators technically are walking that fine gray line of piracy ourselves because we're making sounds that sound like something that's, owned by Lucasfilm or Disney. So it's that weird hush hush gray area that I don't like to talk about. And hopefully George Lucas isn't watching this video.
Right. But I mean, and that's the thing. If you use, the same wording as opposed to going around the corner wording,
Yeah,
that's where I guess that fine gray line becomes, because you're not actually saying who the actor is or
yeah,
what the actor's character is. You're actually saying something a little different, but we
yeah.
all know, we all get the same meaning.
Yeah,
So,
it's like if I were to come out with a sound font that blatantly the title was Luke Skywalker, I'd probably get sued. But if I just called it Luke Episode 6, which I have a Luke Episode 6, it just says
hmm
Luke EP1. Luke could mean anything, but if it says Luke Skywalker, oh shit, I'm in trouble.
right, right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you
So
just have to
that's
be
that's
smart
it.
about it. Because I think when I first started out, like a few years back, I started out on saberfont.com. And when I was uploading and giving them, fonts to put on their website for sale, they were
hmm
telling me, they're like, you can't use this name. No, no, no. You got to rename this. You can't call it this because that's walking that fine line of, copyright and trademark. You can't. So I kind of learned that
hmm
way too. So good on Saberfont for teaching me those ways way back in the day.
Yeah. And Novastar, man, had a ton of sound fonts.
Yeah.
And of course, he got pretty much gypped from who, and that company. We won't kind of glorify anything.
Yeah.
And because pretty much everybody here knows who we're talking about. And to this day though, I went back and I've listened to some of his sound fonts, and oh my God, some of them are like, what? I need to get that one. I
Yeah.
need to get that one. Even if it's not smooth swing, well, like, okay, I'll find somebody to turn it into smooth swing,
Yeah. I bought
because
myself a Nova Star once. It was actually Wansith and Nova Star were some of the first, aftermarket fonts that I've ever purchased.
hmm and you know, and Noah Star, now that he does, Diamond Dragons, like the book is phenomenal, man. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So anybody who wants to read Diamond Dragons, I highly recommend that book if you're into fantasy dragon type, books. Uh, Diamond Dragons is the way to go. So let's get into what are your most favorite fonts to do as far as, you know, i-
Hmm.
is it canon fonts? Is it non-canon? Is it, a little of both? What is your favorite fonts to work on, more or
Well,
less?
I think for me, it's like I can tell you what I don't like working on, and I don't
Okay.
necessarily like working on like character recreation fonts,
Mm-hmm.
which when I first started making sound fonts, because you have so many sound font makers out there, and they all do such great renditions of characters. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I first started out, I thought to myself, okay, if I were to do an Obi-Wan font, what could I bring to the table that Kyber Phonic already did, K Sith already did, One Sith already did, all these,
Mm-hmm.
there's 20 different like what could I bring to the table that they didn't already do? And the answer is probably nothing because they covered all the bases. So when I first started out, I really did not want to do character recreations at all. So
Mm-hmm.
what I did was I wanted to stay within the canon universe, the canon realm. I wanted that traditional Ben Burt sound. So when you fire it up, it sounds like it would be believably in like a Star Wars movie. I wanted it to be believable. But then I started to, instead of doing a character font, I kind of did my fonts based on kind of emotions and themes. So it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't geared towards an individual. It was like, to give you an example, I did one called Afterlife, and it was kind of like, what would a lightsaber sound like to a Jedi that has passed on and was now one with the Force? And he's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, Qui-Gon, like the Ghost Force. What would his lightsaber sound like? So I made a traditional, believable in canon universe, saber sound, but I gave it
Mm-hmm.
this layers of like etherealness and like chimes and like choirs, like something holy, like above all the rest. So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of went that route in the beginning, and I did a lot of themed and emotional based things, like certain scenarios. But as I started to grow my font catalog, I was like, okay, I'm starting to run out of ideas. But now, then I got to that point where I was like, okay, I'm going to have to just start doing some character fonts because people are asking for it. So I did character fonts. I still do character fonts. I did one.
Hmm.
Actually, Gabe gave me the idea to do the Cal Kestis that I just recently released. He
Hmm.
sent me a message on Facebook. He was playing Jedi Survivor, and he must have had his camera phone on the screen while he's playing. He was on the workbench, and he's like, "Bro, listen to this fucking hum," and he hit play. He's like, "You got to do this." So I was like, "Oh man, I don't like doing character fonts, but all right, I'll do this one." But
Got to
so
take one for the team.
gotta take one for the team. And that's the thing. It's like when you're in a business and I mean, technically, Sound Fonts is a business. It's like you provide a
Yeah,
service or a product, you get money. It's a business. So you have to give the people
right,
what they want, regardless of what I want or what don't want to do. So
right.
my business evolved into doing a little bit of everything now. And as much as I
Hmm.
don't like doing character fonts, I still do them because that's what the people want.
Hmm.
Now, as far as out of universe sounds, I leave that completely up to Sam at Grayscale because he does a great job at doing these crazy, outlandish, like out of universe, wacky fonts that I won't even dip my toe into that water because he does that perfectly so well. Him and there's another font maker that does something similar that I can't remember his name. Somebody in the chat might know, but he does it well. And I think I did do one font called Night Shadow, which I think I released like 6 or 8 months ago. That was my
Hmm.
rendition to kind of do an out of universe font in that kind of same vein as like that wacky kind of grayscale vibe where it just sounds electronica and it's like, whoa. But I did it in a way where it still sounded like it would be in universe canon, like something that's like, okay,
Hmm.
I could hear that being in, like a Star Wars film kind of thing. So yeah, I'm all over the place when it comes to fonts. I'm all over the place.
Let's see. God, dude. I want a font of the new Batman mobile starting up. Ooh,
Which Batmobile? Is it the Tumbler or the
right?
original? I like the Tumbler from the Dark Knight.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting. One of my come to think of it, in terms of talking to characters, like one of the things I think it was once it that I got it from, which was the Thundar the Barbarian uh sound font, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
I love the hell out of that one, dude. I
He makes
really love that.
so many good fonts, and I think what I like most about Wansif is his font catalog is so massive. I mean, you look at any sound font maker out there and they have like maybe 20, 30 total fonts. Once it's got over 100 like different fonts out there, and he makes so many fonts and they're all so good.
Yeah, I
He's
mean,
he's
I
old
can't
school.
even
He's
just.
OG. He's OG in the font community.
I got to get him on the show here, man. So,
Yes.
like I said, I get, like I said earlier, I'm gonna get, one at a time first, and then I want to get a group of font makers together, and we can have a really good time that way.
And then you'll
And
get your tequila ready.
oh yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. So, and one of the font makers that I had come across also, think his name is John Jedi FX. He did the rendition of the Celtic Jedi,
Yeah.
and that font it blew me away because I'm a big Highlander fan as well, right? Um I I still love watching that movie religiously. I watch it like every couple of months and stuff. And then I also watch the Highlander the series with Adrian Poe. Um, I've actually been blessed enough to take a couple of sword experiences with Adrian Poe himself and had a lot of fun with that. So if you guys ever get a chance, I highly recommend do a sword experience with Adrian Poe. You won't regret it. It's pretty cool, man. He does all these movie skits, and you learn choreography, and then he films you, and I mean, and you go to different locations. He'll in your city, whichever city he's in, you go to it. He has some badass, sites where they go and do the sword experience and stuff like that. So, like I said, you ever get a chance, do it. Do it at least one time, man. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, Jedi Effects makes good stuff. I know he's on say I don't know, is he still on saberfont.com? I That was the last I saw.
I seen quite a few of his fonts still on there, and
Okay.
because not too long ago did I purchase the Celtic Jedi, but I think he started. I don't know if he recently did some more upgrade like smooth swing stuff, his old stuff to smooth swing. But I had seen where he's done a few, maybe not so recent, but recent ones.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed some of his stuff. So, like I said, I'm still researching, sound fonts and stuff like that to get um, to put into my library and stuff. So, um, it's kind of hard because you have all of these font makers and you you have choice upon choice, and oh my god, just going through them all and like, okay, that sounds cool, right? This one sounds badass, but this one sounds like okay. And then I'm all like, which one? Okay, I got money
Yeah.
for this one, but not this one, so this one's gonna have to wait. And you're like, you're like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Can I get both? Can I get away with both?
Yeah, there's so many sound font makers now, and it's funny because like if you go, most of them are on saberfont.com, and it's just that was the one thing that I didn't like about Saberfont was like that site, that website is so hard to navigate through, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fonts, and it's so hard
Mm-hmm.
to navigate to find what you want, and it's just like God, man, there's just so many. I would call them like unsung heroes. There's so many font makers, that good font makers out there that are just not being recognized or even heard because nobody knows they exist. They can't find them. They're just jumbled in with all the other hundred, sound fonts. It's just that was another big reason why I left Saberfont was like I wanted to create my own exposure, separate myself from the herd, and that way you can
Mm-hmm.
easily find me. My website's easily navigable. You can sort through things easily,
It's
and it's yeah, there's just man,
yeah, absolutely. And it is super easy to navigate your website, man. I love the fact that you have all your fonts like right there and then all your Q&A and everything underneath it all. So it's, you get to see all of your work right there, and then later on down all of the information under that. So,
yeah.
um,
And
you
also, what
know,
I did was like on when you're looking at all the fonts on a single page, you see like 30
mhm,
fonts. At the very top of the page, I put like a little filter bar where you can filter by, well, I just want to see light side fonts, or I want to see just Luke fonts. I just want to see Canon fonts, and you can
mhm,
filter. So I try to make it as easy as possible. And that was the one thing I wished, like saberfont.com would do. Cause like if I'm on their website and it's like, I
mhm.
want to see all the Luke, fonts. It's like, it's not very intuitive to navigate through there or find the Luke fonts. You just got to kind of poke around and click things and hope you find something.
Yeah, I get that. I've gone through almost all of what, how many pages? I think there's like 48 pages or something like that.
Yeah, and each page has like 15 fonts, so do the math. I mean, there's a lot.
I've literally sat down and gone through almost every single font there, man. Not literally necessarily listened to them, but the ones that I found interesting titles to, and went ahead and listened to them, right? But in doing so, I mean, you can get lost for hours doing that and all that stuff. But I suppose that's half the fun, right?
It
Half the
is.
fun.
It is.
That's half the fun. And I really enjoy listening. And for somebody like me who's has a very tiny amount of hearing loss, but it is really hard sometimes to note the very small changes in these fonts if you're not paying attention. Like when you're doing, when your ignition and retractions,
Yeah.
and when the way you orientate the Sabers blade, whether it be up, whether it be the side or down at an angle, and you hear the different ignitions. and the different slight variations of the ignition and the retractions.
Yeah.
uh, you really have to listen to it, because if you don't, you get lost and you think that it's the same ignition over and over and over again.
And
But
and
some
that's the
people.
hard part about making fonts is you do want the ignition to sound like let's say ignitions, like on one of my fonts, if I have one font that has 5 ignitions, I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, I need to come up with something that makes them a little bit different, but they all have to cohesively sound the same to some degree, because you don't want it too far left or too far right where it sounds so different it doesn't sound like it belonged with the font. But you
Right.
have to come up with, like, I usually have what I call like the 75% rule, that all
Hmm.
5 ignitions have to sound 75% similar, but that extra 25% I might tweak. Like I might drag one out and make one ignition slightly longer, some shorter, some pitched high, some pitched low. One might have an extra like spark in the ignition, like for a few milliseconds. It's like all these
Hmm.
little kind of variances, which a lot of people, honestly, if you're not listening to it, you wouldn't catch it. Like you said, it's like people would just think it sounds 5 of the same ignitions. But if you really, really listen to it, you'll catch on it. But most people wouldn't unless you told them it was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah. And that's so interesting though, like I said, and that's part of the fun too, just hearing those little variations, And again, there's quite a few people, I'm pretty sure, that don't really pay attention to it. They're like, oh, yeah, dude, it sounds cool, it sounds this. And then when they actually do hear it, they're like, oh,
yeah,
what did I miss? What did I miss? I didn't hear that before. No, because you weren't paying attention to it. But yeah, you know.
yeah. You don't want to
Um,
make it too different though. It's kind of like if you had a Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi. If you
mhm.
had like 3 ignitions and one of the 3 wasn't the famous snap hiss that he's known for, people would just freaking lose their minds, be like, no, that's not right, that's wrong. So it has to be
Right.
similar to a certain degree, so
Hmm.
they live within the family, so to speak.
Right. So like Rob Petcow, man, Metcow.
Yeah,
Geez, some of his stuff is phenomenal as well.
yeah,
I mean, the
he's old
Vaders
school.
that he's done,
Yeah.
yeah, old school. Some of the Vaders, I
Hoth.
kind of like Hoth,
Hoth is I love that one.
dude. It is so cool, man. But before my memory saver started acting silly, man, I tried to get a good blade for it, and I kept screwing up the kind of blade. I wanted a kind of like a white blade with the oh, I guess what kind of blade style I was looking at. I could what blade style was I looking at for it? I think it was like that high energy blade or something like that, right? Um, but I was trying to play around with it, and I think I screwed something up, where it wasn't doing the blade right. I mean, it looked good for a few seconds, and then I was like, no, this, and then it turned like a rainbow color. I'm all like, what the hell? Like,
You're
that's not what I'm looking for.
you're
I
talking
don't
about
really,
life in general. That's just life. It comes out
yeah.
one way and then it's like, wait, that's not the way it's supposed to be.
So, because I always see, and that's another thing that people try to get these blade styles along with these fonts, right?
Yeah.
And and it depends on the type of board that you're working on. And they say, read the manual, okay? Well, I'm more like a visual person. I can read the manual, but I am dyslexic to a great degree, and I've taught myself to get out of that quite a bit. But when it happens and stuff like that, it does get kind of difficult for me to understand certain things. And so, for people like myself that have learning disabilities, that have a hard time reading the manuals or whatever, that are visual, like myself, like in terms of wiring boards and stuff, I can look and I can see the schematics and stuff. And most people, it might take somebody an hour to really understand the schematic, whereas me, it takes several hours just to see where one wire is really going and truly understand it.
Yeah.
But again, that's where my mentality is of not giving up, and I'll get it eventually, right? Comes in. And my memory saver is a testament, because everybody saw it working, it was working right, it was working good. and I got it, and it will come back to life again. That I promise, it will come back to life. You know, everything else is working great on it, so I'm just waiting on that speaker, and I'm gonna order some more pins because I think I've got it down to where maybe the PCB or the pins are not working right. So um, I'm gonna go ahead and change those out, and I think that's gonna solve the problem for what's going on with it.
It'll come
And
together. Patience, my
it'll
friend.
come together.
Patience.
I got a lot of patience. I mean, I
You
work with
have to
special
in this
needs, man.
hobby.
I work with special needs, so you have to have a lot of patience,
Yeah.
right? So let's see how many partitions are there just the four to aim for? TK says.
TK, what do you mean by partitions?
Yeah,
Four to aim for. Elaborate a little bit. That's a good
yeah,
question, but I don't understand
there
it.
really is. Great thing about or slow or fast at the angle, dude is an awesome for real. I think he's oh okay.
Oh,
Let's see.
another thing that we could probably talk about that it seems to be a topic a lot that I see because I'm always browsing, Facebook groups, internet
Mm-hmm.
forums, live streams and Reddit. A lot of people are always asking the same question: Why do Son fonts not come with blade styles?
Mm.
And
See.
there's a see the thing is, like, for me personally, it becomes a very, like, I don't include blade styles with any of my fonts, like, because, like, for me to think that, like, if I come up with like just any sound font, like I don't know, just like the Cal Kestis font that I just released. Like, I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
know if you wanted that to be a blue blade or a purple blade or a yellow blade. I'm not going to, give you a sound font and have 7 different blade styles to choose from, because that's even creating blade styles takes up so much time as well. But not
Mm-hmm.
only do you have to do the blade styles for one board like Profi, that in itself is a daunting task. You got to create a blade style for CFX. You got to create a blade style for Xenopix. You got to do it for your Golden Heart. It becomes making a sound font that could have taken a week to build the sound, but now you got to take another couple days just to make blade styles. So it's like, me personally, I don't include any blade styles because I don't anticipate knowing what the customer wants their color saber to be. So I'm not going to build something and have them not use it. Why waste my
Right.
time? It's
Right.
like, it's at the end of the day, for any customer, like, if they want, like, a lot of people always expect to have a blade style handed to them, and it's mostly the people that don't know how to make blade styles, and those
Mm-hmm.
are the ones that are usually asking for it. But to me, if you like, the way that I think about it in this community, if you're going to drop four, five, $600 on a lightsaber, you better damn well read the manual and learn how to use your product, like, because that is a good chunk of change. It's an investment. It's learn how to use it. Don't expect somebody to
Mm-hmm.
just give you something and be like, all right, here you go, drop that in. It's like, I want people to know how to use their saber, to operate it, to troubleshoot it, to do all these things. Like, I make
Mm-hmm.
sound fonts, but I'm not going to be the end all, speaker of all saber related things and doing all these troubleshootings for everybody. It's like, that's not what I'm here to do, kind of thing. So
Right.
that's how I answer it on my website, at least. But I do know, like Sam at Grayscale, he does a great job of giving Profi blade styles for all his
Mm-hmm.
sound fonts, but that doesn't help the CFX customer. He doesn't give a CFX blade style, so they miss out.
Right.
So it becomes a thing where it's like that's another thing I didn't want to dip my toe in the water, because you're just opening up a whole nother can of worms. That's not where I want to be.
And it comes down to personal preference,
Exactly.
and because then you be doing all of this work for that individual, and then it's like, well, I didn't think it was going to come out this way. Well,
Well,
dude, that's and so I get why you're saying that you're not doing those things, because it comes down to personal preference on what they want, whether it be the color of the blade, whether it be the blade style itself for that particular font. Um, but then, like you said, it'd be a big waste of time if they just decided that they didn't like it, after you doing all that work. It was
well,
like, no.
there was a case where I think it was like 2 years ago. I had a demo video on one of my sound fonts where there was this wacky ignition where it kind of flickered a little bit and then it
Hmm.
sparked and then it ignited, and people were just emailing me. They're like, "Hey man, can you share your blade style?" I'm like, I think I might still have it on my Saber, and it was my demo video was a Profi. He's like, "Yeah, I'm on CFX." I was like, "Well, I can't because like CFX doesn't even have that capability to do that kind of ignition." So, and then there's the flip side to that where somebody was like, "I like that, ignition. Can I have the blade style?" I was like, I still have it loaded on my Saber. Here, I copied and pasted,
Hmm.
emailed it to him. He's like, "Can you change it now and do this to it? Change this color to that?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm not in the blade style business. I'm in the sound font. I'm a sound font sound maker. Like you can here's the code. You tweak it how you want. I'm not going to teach you how to do it." It's like,
Yeah, yeah. See, like for me, and people, I mean, just understand that this is coming from a fairly noob himself. Even though I've been working on stuff for 3 years, like I said, learning stuff is a little difficult for me. But what I just my personal opinion and the way I do things is that before I ask somebody, you know, I'll read the manual, and if I still don't understand it, I'll go through videos. I'll look through all these videos that have, demos or training stuff to show you how to do certain things, right? Lots of videos on how to wire things up,
tons,
lot of videos on how to
tons.
solder stuff, right? So not only do I read the manual, but I also do these videos, and then I'll read stuff, and I'll go through different websites, and I'll look to where people are having trouble doing, maybe they've got the same trouble that I've got. So I'll kind of read up and see how they fixed their problem, or if they were able to fix their problem. Because if they were able to fix their problem, that the same problem that I have, then there's my solution. I'm finding my solution that way. Now once I've exhausted all my resources and I still can't find the answer, that's when I ask somebody,
Yeah,
and of course, I've been very blessed to have, Space Windu and Dave, Jedi Arms Dealer, and a few other people in my life, and especially Albert too. I've asked Albert for help on a few things, wire wise, and especially since I'm working on the F-16, and he's wired up the F-16 before, and I bought his chassis for it, so I'm kind of working on that as
I
well.
got two empty hilts for Albert. Like I just still need to send it to him. I've been slacking on it, man, for the past like couple months. I keep texting him. I'm like, "Dude, I got these two empties that are calling your name. It's just a matter of me sending it to you."
See, that's the whole thing. You just got to find time to send them, and
Yeah,
with everybody's busy schedule, and I'm sure he's just like, he's a busy boy himself, man.
yeah.
He is super busy with all this stuff,
All right,
and it's a and
William,
again it's a
we have a
go
we
ahead.
have a decision to make. I need to either A, refill this with beer, or we need to do another shot, or C, I refill it and we do a shot. We'll let the audience decide.
Yeah, come on. So what do you say, guys?
Come on,
Give us.
C. Come on,
I'm all
C.
for C. I'm all for C. I
All for C.
mean, so but we got to let the audience do this. Come on,
Okay.
you guys, get into it, man. So what do you all say? So and TK says partitions to spark a specific speed. Yeah, dude, you have to go in. I think I know what he's wondering. When you go into, where you have the different speeds. I think it's in the my brain's on fried
You
right
guys talking
now.
about ignition time
Well,
over
he's
there?
talking about ignition time, but you have to go into your
What
sorry
board?
guys, hold on just a second.
What board we talking about? Uh-oh. He's getting yelled at. The wife heard shots and she came in the room. See, Cindy knows, she knows what's up. We're all gonna do a shot.
No, babe. No, it's my daughter. My daughter's saying good night. I already, told the wife good night. So it's like my daughter's like, "Hey, do you have lunch for tomorrow? Do you need me to make it?" I'm all like, "No, baby, thank you. You already did." So yeah, I got teenage girls, man. They're trying to take care of daddy. So, Cincy, out loud. Oh no, no, Mundo's good, man. Mundo's all good. So we're gonna do both. Well, we go. We'll see. But as
Then
far as TK's um question, I think you have to go into which folder is it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, my brain's kind
all
of
right.
fried right now.
While you're
But
figuring that out, I need to refill this beer, and then we're gonna do a shot too.
yes, sir. Go for it. Refill it. Let me see. You know what? Hold on just a second. I'm gonna pull the manual out, and the manual that I'm gonna pull out is just for. I think it's gonna be the. Oh, let's see. The Prism 5.1. No, sorry about that, guys. The Prism 5.1 manual is I'm gonna pull out here, and I think I'm gonna answer your question here in just a minute, Cindy. So, your profile. Let me see here. We're gonna let me see. Victor goes Flash on Clash. So I told him I pulled out the let's see here, blade plugs. Parameters for tuning Saber here. And I've got the Prism 5.1 manual right here, so um and it talks about motion and gestures and detection parameters and so forth. So your gesture flows, but let's see here. You have to go into your configuration file, and it gives you all these choices here. I think in one of your configuration files, your main config, right? Your config.txt. That's going to be where you're really going to put your ignitions on how fast and how slow you want your ignition and retraction and so forth, right? Let's see, Cincy. Hell, I'll do a shot. Come on,
That's right.
Cincy.
He's gonna do it. Cinzy,
Hell yeah.
come on, it's time.
Hit it, hit it. All right. Are you ready?
The dinner bell's calling.
All right, makers, drinkers, fill your glasses, get your cups ready, get your bottles ready. I don't give a shit. It's all good. It's all good. I'm starting. Cheers, Cincy. Here we go, guys. Three, two, one. Ah, very good. Very good. Love that vodka, man. Whew. Very good. Okay, so yeah, going back to TK, in your config.txt, that is where you're going to be most of your style, your speed for your ignition and your retraction. When you go in there, you're going to tell basically the board, hey, you want it this slow or this fast. You have all those different parameters. And of course, like I said, the manuals are going to give you almost all the answers in there. Now, sometimes you might have to read in between the lines. These manuals are kind of famous for reading in between the lines. I've kind of figured that out very slowly. Very slowly have I figured that out. But yeah, man, TK. So if you got time, just kind of like take one paragraph at a time and read and take a paragraph and read what the paragraph says. And then what it tells you to do, take it with a grain of salt, but at the same time, kind of do it and learn from it. So that's the best way I can tell you, to teach yourself on how to do all of these changes within the boards and so forth. Me personally, I really don't need a whole lot of changes within the boards. I'm pretty good. If I get a good sound font, all I want is a good blade style to go with it, and I'm golden. You know, I don't want to mess with too much stuff. To
What
me,
board are you guys talking about?
I'm not sure what board he's talking about. I mean, as far as Saber, I like the CFX, but I do have a few Prisms 5.1 that I'm going to do for my daughters.
Okay.
So, um, so TK, what board were you talking about actually, man? Right? Titan Grays, all full pull. um, so TK, come on, man. What board were you talking about? Or are you talking about all boards in general? I mean, because all boards in general, they're not all boards, created the same either. I mean, you have these different variation boards, so everything is a little just slightly different, mostly the same, but slightly different. And like they say, I like the analogy that they use with the Profi board because the Profi board, you're basically buying a chassis and you're building your car the way you want it to be built. Whereas the CFX board, you're buying an already made vehicle and taking it off the lot.
Yeah, you're kind of stuck
you
with
know,
those parameters. You can tweak the
right,
parameters they give you, but with Profi, you can make your own parameters. It's endless. That's why I love it.
right. And I've got a Profi 5.1 sitting around. I mean, I haven't even messed with it yet, and I'm not going to mess with it for a while until I get really really well versed in the CFX and other boards. Like I've got a Verso, not a Verso, excuse me. I've got a Golden Harvest and I've got an Igniter 3 sitting around, and I still have yet to wire those up. So, but my thing is that um I want to play around and I want to utilize these different boards because utilizing these skills in the different boards, can make the things all around a little bit better, right? So, and each one of these boards will have different situations for sound fonts as well. So that's another thing that I wanted to research is wiring these different boards and wiring these different boards will have different sounds with these other sound fonts, right? So one sound font may sound great with this board, but the same sound font will sound kind of little different on this other board.
Well,
Like,
it
You
won't
know,
necessarily sound different. It just the sound font behaves differently because like certain like if you compare CFX and Profi, the sound is going to be the same, but the smooth swings are going to behave differently because the
okay,
algorithms behind how it triggers smooth swings and like what velocity at what angle, it's different. But then if you look at something like Xenopixel, the old Xenopixel V2, it didn't
hmm
even have accent swings. So I didn't even support Xenopixel at that time because I was like, if you ain't got no accent swings, I don't want to deal with like I love accent. It ain't no thing unless it's got that accent swing, baby. It's like, but
right,
luckily now the Xenopixel V3 has accent swings and a couple other things, so they're trying to get there. But for the most part,
yeah,
the sound font's gonna sound the same. Well, let me back up. The Xenopixel V3 does have a different audio driver, so it does sound a little bit more crunchy, in my opinion.
yeah.
So it does sound a little bit different, but for the most part, the sound should sound the same. They just behave differently depending on the
hmm
the algorithms of the board, how things, the motion chip, and all that stuff.
Oh, so since TK says he wants a battle board, well, dude, I mean, for the most part, if you can get your hands on one, get you a Prism 5.1. I mean, they're fairly old right now, and for whatever they are now, it'd be a great battle board because it's a learner board, but at the same time, it's not a board that you can really worry about too much about.
What's a battle board? What is I've never heard that term.
Battle board. I guess the one that he can really, go at it with the saber.
Oh, okay. So like a beater, something you can smack around and destroy and don't give a shit about.
Yeah, pretty much, I would
That's
say.
golden harvest, baby. No, I was kidding.
Go Golden Harvest. Oh my goodness.
No, I like Golden Harvest. That's my third favorite board.
Now, I still have yet to get a Verso, right? I still need to get a Verso because, like I said, I wanted to try the variations of boards. And I actually got one of the last Igniter threes before Scott ended up, and many blessings to Scott. I hope everything is getting well with him before he took his boards off the market. Right when I got mine, the very next day they were off the wall, man. I mean, you
Yeah.
couldn't get them anymore. So it was like,
Isn't
what?
Cal doing something new with Verso? I heard he was updating, making change. Like there's going to be an update to Verso. I heard.
Yes, there is an update with Verso, and I think it's Verso version. I know it's either V2 or V3 already. I think it's going to be V3, but he's going to have some extra stuff put into it now. So that's going to be interesting in itself.
Yeah.
And TK's at 5.1. Yeah, the Prism, man. If you can get a hold of you one, they're not that bad to wire up. I
Yeah.
wired up a couple of them and kind of burnt out two of them though.
John at the Collector's Outpost. What is an SN4? Is that a soundboard? I don't know what an SN4 is.
Okay, this is what. Oh, SN4.
If
That's not.
SN4 is a soundboard, it's probably a board I don't have, and I didn't configure a font for it.
That takes profile photos. Don't trigger accents. Huh.
Yeah, and that's
I didn't even. That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
I've never
There's
heard
so
of the
many.
SN4.
Yeah, I have never. I mean, there's so many soundboards out there. Like, there's a lot of like overseas soundboard. Like, even though, like, if you purchase a Saber on the cheap on like Alibaba, you can get like good looking Sabers, but they come with these weird soundboards you never heard of. So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure exactly like how these soundboards operate. I've never dealt with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't support them because I can't have every soundboard here at my disposal here and be like, okay, all my fonts are compatible with all these 20 soundboards. I just pick the
Right.
best, 4 or 5 that are most commonly used, and the rest of the stuff is just I can't, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But for John, you say SN4 is TQX version of Xeno, but it depends on which Xeno, because if the SN4 is the old Xeno, which is the V2, the Xeno V2 does not have accent swings. So your SN4 probably is based on Xeno V2, which is old, outdated hardware, which is soon to be discontinued because Xeno V3 is going to be taking over and replacing it. Oh, it's newer and it needs a lot of work. Yeah, I don't know
Mm.
what it is. So I don't have that soundboard, and I didn't make the fonts compatible with it. So that I apologize for. I can't support every soundboard that's out there.
Right, neither can I. I mean, I'm limited on funds,
He's
so
like, neither
it's
can
like, oh
I.
my God. I mean, I'm so limited on funds, man. Teenagers and whatever you will, and still
but
doing all these school activities. It's like, oh my God.
but John, if you email me on my website, bksabersounds at gmail, send me like an example sound font from your SN4 just so I can see how they name the fonts and what text files that go in the font folder, and I'll see what I can do for you. I'm not saying
Now,
I support SN4. I'm just saying I'll fix this for you because you the man. I like your channel.
right? I enjoy his channel immensely myself. It's like,
What
wow.
what I
He's
like
he's
about
so full.
his
Go ahead.
channel, his video production is outstanding. The color grading is on point. The lighting is on point. It's like, dude, he needs to get into like, film. Like he needs to be a film producer, like for
Right,
like a movie.
right. And he's got so much energy and enthusiasm in his
Yeah.
vids, man. I love it. I'm loving it. And I'm here just mellow with a lot of drink. Yeah. So, but yeah,
Space.
man. Space, what's up, dog? He's here. He showed up, man. Yeah, dude. BK forever. Yep. Always, man. Collector is a pro. He is, definitely is, man. And I am so thankful he came and visited us here on the channel, man. So yes, sir, John. Man, like I said, we're having a great time, man. So, and all you guys, again, I can't thank y'all for showing up and having fun with us. I'm not getting off just yet. Nope, nope, not closing it up just yet. Um, let's see. There was a few other questions that I have. Oh,
I think there
um,
was one question. Somebody asked if Space Window could do a shot with us. That's what I heard. I'm just saying. I'm just
right?
saying.
Hey, Rich, what's up, man? Even Rich showed up. Now, have you seen? Oh my gosh, and Rich's chassis are out of this world as well, man. Nah, dude, no worries. Nah, you're never late, bro. I know how busy you are. You're never late, man. Nobody's late on Mundo Madness Monday, bro. Nobody is ever late unless it's shut down. You're never late. Come on in, have a drink, have a laugh, sit down, and keep the bullshit going because we're having a blast.
We're
That's
here
what
till the
Mundo
cop.
Madness Monday is about.
We're here till the cops shut us down.
That's right. That's right. Just a pebble in the river. TK, no man, you're one of us, bro. You ain't no pebble in the river, bro. You're one of us. You're in the pool, man. We're in the Great Lake together. It's all good, man. It's all good. Okay, here's the question I wanted to ask you. How quickly did you transition from the hobby of just making your own sound phones into the business? Was it like, did it take you by surprise, or did it just kind of like feel the transition was like so smooth? You were just like, no, like I got it, just went and just
Oh
a
no.
smooth transition.
It took me by surprise. Like I think when I first started off, I tested the water and put like 3 fonts on saberfont.com. And the way
Mm-hmm.
that they work is over a monthly period they'll send you a report how many sound fonts you sold. They'll send you, here's your commission cut, because they take a
Mm-hmm.
cut because they do the web hosting and all that stuff. They do all that for you.
Right.
And the first month, I looked at it, I was like, I made how much? I was like, holy shit, what the? I was like, okay, this could be a business here. I was like, and it was at that point, I was like, okay, I got to make more fonts. I got to do this. I got to do that. I was like, once I saw the opportunity that was there, I was like, I need to jump on this. And it's funny because your boy Gabe, he was like one of my very first customers. He bought a sound font, which I discontinued. I don't make it anymore, but he swears by it, called the Ultimate Light Side. And to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
I hated that freaking font. I couldn't stand it.
Really?
But he loved it, and yeah, it just kind of it snowballed from there. So it wasn't one of those slow turning things where it's like a hard grinding thing. It was kind of like one of those things where I dipped my toes in the water and boom, it just kind of snowballed really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and here I am. I'm just grateful to be part of this beautiful community with you beautiful people.
So how long have you actually been doing it for? I mean,
Not
making
long
sound
at
files.
all. I've only been doing it now, I want to say just a little over 3 years. So I consider myself pretty green, pretty fresh, because people like
Mm-hmm.
Wanza have been doing it for like 6, 7 years, maybe even longer. And then like Rob Petcow, they've been doing fonts even way before that. So those are all the sound
Mm-hmm.
font makers that I've been messing with even before I was a maker myself.
Right.
And so I'm still a guppy. I'm still a newbie in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same here. I mean, like I said, but one of you know, in coming into this hobby, the reason why I actually came into this hobby, two reasons, right?
Gabe
Was
talked about BK daily. Space, he freaking
space.
texts me daily.
That's funny. One of two, like I said, the two reasons that I got into this hobby was one because, my friend that passed away from brain cancer, and to honor his memory. And when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do to honor him, believe it or not, I end up watching Space's videos on lightsabers. And the one saber that really caught my eye when he was making them. Well, the very first video I actually saw was the Gray Jedi that he did, and of course, that's ancient history, but space, I'll never let space forget that saber, because I mean, the whole memory saber itself honors space as well because of of the switch area that lights up, right? So if you go back and you see my video, the thank you video, I tell space, that that particular area was because of that particular video that I watched from him, and it kind of, from that point on, sabers were like, oh, I gotta have these sabers. I gotta learn how to make them, or I gotta learn how to buy them. But gotta make sure that I buy the right ones, because believe it or not, I had, I still have my you know Vader one from, you know yeesh, can't even see right now, so it's all torn apart, but the old
Yeah.
school Vader, right? You know, it it's been torn up for many, many, many years, and when I saw all these videos, you can convert it. I'm all like, ¿qué? ¿Qué? I can rehab it done and better than what it was.
There's not much you can't do
Yeah,
in this community. There's so many skilled tradesmen and just phenomenal people that can do so much phenomenal things. There's not much you
absolutely,
can't do in this community anymore. Especially
exactly.
with space. I mean, the brightest blades in the galaxy, man. So bright you got to wear shades. Come on.
For real, man. Yeah, I'm gonna end up going blind with one of his blades, sometime soon. Gotta love it though. And only at Civilized Sabers can you get the Pentastar, the Quad Star, the TriStar, and even the Dual Star. Come on, people. You know you love those blades.
I'm waiting out for the Death Star. So when you ignite it, it just kills you. Just spontaneous combustion. So bright you just explode.
He's gonna have a Pentastar and a TriStar all together to
He's
make
gonna be
the
like,
the
let me
Death
put this
Star.
in the lux. I'm gonna put this in the lux meter, and he just dies.
John the Octastar. Oh shit, man. Now you're gonna be seeing beams really come out of that damn thing, man. Yeesh. That, you hear that, space? Yeah, we're gonna be having some of them special glasses that we gotta wear now for your blades, dude. You ain't gonna be able to just wear regular shades. You gotta have them spectrum kind of, dark shades for lasers type shit. Oh my god. Too much fun, man. That's what this channel is all about, is having fun, guys.
Oh,
Love it, love
you
it.
want to? All right. So not to take things away from sabers, because I know this is a dedicated show for lightsabers. You want to see something really freaking cool?
Say it. Let's go.
Are you a fan of Ghostbusters?
Yes.
Let me get you something. You're gonna shit your pants.
Oh, I'm gonna love it already. So he's got something with Ghostbusters. We're gonna end up having some fun here, you guys. Start selling the sunglasses. I know, right? I'm gonna have to end up making them, man. Space. Jeez. Oh,
So
the
for
pack.
Halloween, I'm starting early on my costume. Let me back up.
Oh, is that a Haliwax build?
This is one. I think it was a Spirit Halloween did a run this year, like a couple
Really?
weeks. And a buddy of mine texted me. He's like, "Hey, you want a proton pack?" I was like, "Sure, why not?" It's 250 bucks. I was like, "Fuck yeah, come on, let's do it." So we got this,
Dang.
and hold on, let me fire this little guy.
Cynthia, let me get a change of underwear. That
Hold on.
is badass.
So you can take the gun off
Yeah.
and then fire this thing up.
Oh, sweet Jesus, look at that.
There's
Dude.
one where you can just be like,
Whoa, man.
so I nerded out and bought one of these with my buddy.
Wow.
And then, of course, I was like, well, it's only May and October for Halloween, so far away. I was like, I'm going to buy a flight suit. I got my own name patch. I got the elbow pads, the belt, the goggles. I was like, I'm going to be a
Woo!
Ghostbuster this year. I was like, because usually every Halloween, I'm always a Jedi. Because come on, I got all these freaking lightsabers. How could I not
Right,
be?
right.
But this year, I was like, I got the Ghostbuster pack. I'm going to be a Ghostbuster.
Dude, that is badass for sure, dude. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. And if I'm not mistaken though, Halliwack's basement builds, I think he built one. I think he built one.
There's a lot of
Um,
builders for these things apparently. Because I started watching YouTube videos. I guess there's one like Hasbro made one. And then there's so many custom
mhm.
builders that make these replicas that like look legit, and they're just way out of my budget though, because this one was
I
only like
know.
250 bucks, but it
Yeah,
was worth
but
it.
oh
It
my
was
gosh. That's definitely worth it. Ooh, dude, I would buy that shit just to have it on my wall, man.
right.
Eh, or even back here, right behind me.
It's so bulky. I don't know where
You
to
know.
put it. It's just sitting in my bedroom, just like if somebody walks in and we're like, "What is that?" We're like, "Oh, it's just a proton pack, no big deal."
No, you have it hanging on the wall, or do you have it just sitting on the floor?
It's just sitting on the floor, leaning up against the wall.
No, okay, now you're doing it all wrong, dude.
I
No, no,
know,
no.
I know,
Get you a custom wall hanger and hang it on the wall.
I know.
That's what you got to do, man. Not telling you, I'm not telling you it's your choice, but man, I think that would just be the shit right there, dude.
Yes, John, you are correct. The Hasbro one, actually, it's more. I think it was like 550 the last I saw for the
Oh
Hasbro one.
wow, the
But the
Hasbro one, huh?
Hasbro, the thing that I heard, the Hasbro ones were so well built that they were so heavy that when you wear them, you kind of have to slouch because there's a lot of weight. This thing is just a plastic shell. It's pretty much
Oh
hollow.
wow.
Besides, so it's real lightweight and it's perfect.
Hmm.
I can cosplay all day with it and not wear me down.
Yeah, I think you gotta have just the right amount of weight to it, but not too much.
Not
If
too much.
if you're doing if you're doing a cosplay, and this is with any cosplay though, is you if you're walking around, you don't want something that's gonna weigh you down all damn day, and then you're gonna be like super tired to do anything. So, but that's gotta be a lot of fun to play with too. I mean, just as much as the sabers, right? So you got a saber at one end and the pack in the other.
Right?
Light them up,
Light
light
'em
them up. Yeah, man, bring the ghost on. I'd say fuck them all. Bring the ghost on.
up.
You should get a mannequin and put the whole outfit on it. Oh yeah, Cincy, that's an idea, dude. That's an idea. That is definitely an idea for sure, man. Right? Space super sick, dude. Oh man, and that's like,
It's got my
yeah,
name.
dude.
It's got the patch.
There you go.
I had to go buy some Vietnam combat boots, the elbow pads, the belt, all like it's done. I'm just waiting for October now. Hell, I might put it on tomorrow and just go shopping with it.
So, hey, there's an idea, right? I don't know if anybody's done it, Ben, but what about a proton pack sound pod?
It's been done. I think
Is it?
Kyberphonic did one and
Kyber?
it's outstanding. It's spot
I
on.
guess I haven't I guess I haven't heard it yet. So like I said, I'm still researching sound fonts. So Kyberphonic did it, huh? I might have to check it out, man. Yeah, for sure. I have to check
Yeah,
it
it's
out.
one of his popular ones. It sounds great.
Dude, that is so cool. The sound font that I like that Gabe has on his Saber was called the Vendari sound font.
He talks about that thing all the time.
My God, that sound font is just unbelievable. See, I like kind of sound fonts like that, kind of like almost kind of like a television, where you got that static and then you got the electricity popping
Who
and
makes that? Do you
anything.
know who makes that?
The Vendari, I'm not sure. I'd have to find out. Space, you know who makes the Vendari sound font, dude? I
I
haven't.
need the Cadillac. If
TK.
I could have Echo One, I would fire up that sucker with the lights, drive down the street.
Right. Collector as space make you a star proton stream. uh, That's funny. You're gonna combine the streams with the saber and the
Oh, they
pack.
said don't cross the streams.
Look what happened at the end of the movie. They crossed the streams.
Yeah, that's true.
Hmm. Grayscale.
Grayscale
Sam.
Sam.
Yep.
Yes. He's got some good shit.
He
I like
does,
his yeah,
man.
I like his stuff.
He's got some very wicked cool stuff, man. For sure.
And he's one of the unique sound font makers that's just like he came out of nowhere with such a different approach, a different sound that it was out of universe, but just sounded so good. Like
Hmm.
he found a niche hole that and he filled it and it's just
Hmm.
perfect.
Dude,
Love what he
like
does.
the what's it? I think it's called what? Volatile was really good.
Oh, he
I
makes so many good ones. Like
hmm.
I think he's known for that one called Crispity, which I think is a free font. But the
Yeah,
thing
Crispity is
is,
free.
like Sam, like he does such good work. Like I'll take the line from the Batman movie where Joker says, "If you're good at something, never do it for free." He should not be
Yes.
giving away free. Like I would pay good money, for, like,
Yeah,
but
I agree.
that's his
I agree.
business model. What-
Yeah. TK want to make some s'mores. Yeah, since he love me some Sam.
Does it involve tequila?
Ah, you better have some vodka or some kind of alcohol in those s'mores, damn it. Oh man, this has been, oh my God, man, an hour and 46 minutes? Jeez, where did the time go?
That's how we
Two,
roll.
dude, see, that's what this is all about, man. Having so much fun that time just goes by so quick, dude. Well, let's go ahead and we're gonna shut her down from here. And thank you guys for showing up, TK, Cinzy, Brian. Man, everybody, collectors, man, just Titan, just my gosh, guys, I am so very appreciative of everybody, and I love you guys, all of you guys. And BK, man, so much love to you for coming on with me tonight, dude. Um, I am so truly blessed to have you guys all here tonight with me on Mundo Madness Monday. It means a lot,
Mundo.
and I hope that you guys had as much fun as we did. And there's going to be a lot more because uh, there's going to be a series of font makers come on, and then eventually I'm going to have BK come on with about two or three more font makers. So we're going to have
Bring them all. Come
future.
on. More than two or
Yeah,
three. Let's get like 5, 10. Come on, let's round them out. A
5 or 10
round table. Round
sounds
table,
good.
baby.
A round table?
We'll
Then
be
that's what
bringing
we're
that
gonna call it.
tequila down all
Yeah,
night.
okay. Sounds good. Then that's what we're gonna call it. We're gonna call it the round table sound font maker. Let's see, font. Shit, I don't even know how to call it. Let's
We're gonna
see.
call it the tequila table.
The tequila table. Okay, we'll call it the tequila table. You're gonna be the tequila headmaster with that
That's
bill,
right.
man.
That's right.
That is gonna be a shit ton of fun, man. That's gonna be a shit ton of fun, and we're gonna have a lot of fun doing that. So yeah, and eventually, I'm gonna get Albert and Benji and Jeremy on, and I want to do a show. Hopefully you guys are watching this and do a chassis show, and we're gonna have a lot more fun doing quite a few more different things. And Mundo Channel and Civilized Sabers is just going to skyrocket with a lot more fun, guys. So again, if you guys like and subscribe, if you like Civilized Sabers, if you like, the Mundo channel, like and subscribe if you want to. Um, Also, make sure that you like and subscribe to Space Window Civilized Sabers and his Space Window channel. Also, like and subscribe to BK Sabers. This man is amazing. His sound fonts are amazing, and also, if you guys are into, the Albatross Junction, make sure you like and subscribe to Albatross Junction as well as look into Kevin Scott Cosme. He is the co-creator of Albatross Junction. Like and subscribe to his stuff. And again, thank you guys so much for showing up and having fun with us. And we'll see what happens here in the future. And Mundo will keep you up to date on certain things. I will keep everybody up to date if I can. And if I don't, I certainly apologize. I am certainly very, very busy at times, and
Boo
my
this
schedule.
man. Boo. No, I was kidding.
Yeah, boo me, man. Because, like I said, I get home late, but the show must go on. And for whatever reason, if I don't come on, my apologies. But Mundo channel will always, always try to be on as much as possible. From that point on, I bid you guys, Mundo out. Peace. Stay on with
In
me, buddy.
here, we pour whiskey.